Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Wildcard Wednesday, Tools for Successful Fleet Maintenance. My name is Sue Miller, and I'm a Senior Program Manager here at Geotab, and your host for today's expert session. Really glad that you could join us today, and looking forward to your questions as well. So just put them into the question box, and we'll make sure they get answered at the end of the presentation. So our subject matter expert today is Robin Kinsey, Business Development Manager here at Geotab. And as I've said before, Robin is one of my favorite people here at Geotab. She is always willing to help out and share her wealth of knowledge and experience to every presentation. So Robin, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Sue. All right, everybody. Fleet management is so important to fleets. And as the Geotab tagline is, you cannot manage what you don't measure. And so it's very important when it comes to maintenance that we are measuring that. And we're going to talk about how that works within Geotab and even with additional partners. So I do want to clarify exactly what fleet maintenance is and how to leverage this data to accomplish whatever goal that you have pertaining to maintenance, because every fleet has different goals, and we want to talk about that a little bit, especially between management or just managing your fleet via maintenance and being able to manage the maintenance per se, the actual task thing that you have to do, and then partners for maintenance. So what is fleet maintenance? It is so critically important. We have to keep these vehicles on the roads, and I may accidentally say truck every single time just because that's really what I do, but this is really irrelevant to truck. It could be medium duty, it could be light duty, it could be cars in your fleets, and I'm talking about fleets of 5 vehicles and 50,000 vehicles. It doesn't really matter. Maintenance is still critically important, and we have to keep these vehicles on the road. So it's really important to have that uptime for the fleet. In order to have that uptime, you've got to have your maintenance act together. You've got to make sure you're being proactive instead of reactive, because the last thing you want is unscheduled downtime, because it costs you so much money when you have this unscheduled downtime. And then, of course, you want to take care of this vehicle for resale value, just like you would your own personal vehicle. You want to take care of it so at the end of your lease or your payments and it's time to upgrade, you have some resale value there. So what are some maintenance tasks that are managed? I mean, simple things like oil changes and tire rotations and the chassis lubes and the air filters, and all of these are scheduled at different frequencies. But the cost of not doing these scheduled maintenance can cause I don't even want to try that word now because I'm going to screw that up, but really bad failures, engine failure, component failure. And don't tell my husband, okay? And I may have told the story before, but in my early 20s, you know, when you're thinking you're invincible, you know, when life just gets going really fast and you're not thinking about things. I didn't change my oil. Matter of fact, I didn't put any more oil in my car for several months until, guess what? I ran out of oil in my car and it busted the block in my engine. So now it's cracked. It was in the shop, cost me thousands of dollars. And even when I got it back, it was never the same after that. It always leaked oil. And within a year, I had to get rid of that vehicle. That's terrible. Now imagine if you're managing 100 vehicles or 1,000 vehicles, how important it is. You know, there are different types of maintenance: preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, unplanned maintenance. So preventive maintenance is trying to help you be proactive, and it's usually maintenance is usually set on either time or odometer like mileage, or maybe it's engine hours. And then you have predictive maintenance where they're trying to look into the future and say, hey, I'm going to predict this failure of blank about now. Again, and then yes, it's not a free thing for predictive maintenance, but it can save a lot of money, especially for these larger fleets. I'd say 100 trucks and above. It's you can get a great return on investment. But the unplanned maintenance is very costly. Being broken down on the side of the road is terrible. So you got to imagine what the cost of these vehicles is. Now, this cost is for trucks, heavy duty trucks, but again, figure out what that average cost is for medium duty, for light duty, for Class 8. These trucks ain't cheap. $125,000 to $150,000 for these trucks. And that's just, of course, for the tractor. And then if they don't buy it outright, then they're either leasing it or payments, and those payments are $2,000 or $4,000 for a month. So just imagine now If you're stroking a check every month for $3,000 a month to pay for this truck and it's in the shop for 2 weeks getting an engine overhaul, how much money are you making? You're digging yourself into a hole of you're paying the mechanic, you probably got to rent or lease another truck to replace that one. It's costing you a ton of money. So, matter of fact, I don't live too far off of I-95 here on the East Coast. And last weekend when we were traveling, there was this big truck on the side of the road. He had a trailer attached. It was probably something was in that trailer. He had his hood up, and there was a service truck right beside him as they were working on this vehicle. So now, because of this unplanned maintenance, how much did that service truck cost this guy on the side of the road on a Saturday? Probably thousands of dollars. And now he's not his normal mechanic, so is he even an approved party where there's negotiated rates on how much things cost? Probably not. So now he's being repaired by some unapproved party, costing him 1.5 to probably 2 times more than he normally pays. Now, I wonder if he can't fix it. Now we got to tow that truck. Well, guess what? The average tow truck cannot tow a big truck. So that's, again, not going to be a cheap tow. Now, let's imagine again that, hey, okay, we need this part. It won't be here until tomorrow. So now where's the driver going to stay until his truck is ready? And he's not getting paid. The company's not making any money. What happened to that load that he's got in his trailer? Is it going to get to his destination on time? Loss of revenue. Maybe even loss of load, because think about if it was refrigerated or time sensitive. And then most companies actually have a on-time delivery percentage that the company has to maintain. Let's say that they say 95% of on-time delivery. And if they just went over a little bit, I mean, that they can lose their whole deal. And then, of course, the safety risk on the side of the road. And then we have asset inspections for DVIR. Now, I realize this is mainly relevant to heavy duty, but I will tell you it's also relevant to medium duty, vocational trucks or vehicles. And honestly, even sometimes with cars, they still want those drivers to walk around these vehicles and make sure that it hasn't been dinged, it hasn't been hit, there's not a flat tire. And so to have these DVIR inspections integrated into their maintenance application is just a huge time and energy and money saver to have that integration done. Now, DVIR, you think about that with ELD, and you may think, okay, my medium duty or my light duty vehicles don't need ELD. That's okay. Did you know that in Geotab Drive, you can turn off hours of service and just use the application, by the way, for free for your inspection for DVIR. So if they just want to do DVIR only, they can. They don't have to do ELD. You can turn all that off. Okay? So how do we leverage this data for maintenance? So some of the things that the maintenance application does, of course, is tracking all your assets. Now, it's not about where the asset is, but it's more tracking the warranty on a specific serial number or a component. For instance, Sunday night, we get the phone call at 9:30 at night that my adult daughter has a flat tire. And of course, even though she's adult, she still calls dad to come in to fix it. And, you know, so he's working through papers trying to figure out the warranty, because I felt like, man, we just bought her new tires recently. So he's looking through papers trying to figure that out. Now, we only have 3 vehicles. Imagine if you had 300 vehicles of trying to figure out where that warranty is. Turns out it was 2 years ago. It just seemed like yesterday. So this is important information, because if it was up under warranty, it would have been free instead of paying for it. So this is an example, just in a small case. Now, again, imagine this on a larger scale. And then you want to set up your preventive maintenance, again, whether that's time, whether that's hours, whether that's mileage. And how are you managing the parts, especially if you've got a shop? You've got X number of parts on the shelf. Okay, how much is that costing you per these parts? How do you know when to order parts? How do you know what parts is actually being used? And can you determine the repair costs between preventive and in-house and third party? And then what about accidents? Who actually paid for the accident? Was it us? Or was it the person who hit me or their insurance? So you can determine, you know, what that cost is. And of course, making sure you understand the differences between different types of trucks or vehicles. Did you know, and this is something I've learned as I've been studying maintenance for the last few months, is I did not know that during a DOT audit, they required to see maintenance records for 10% of the vehicles in their fleet. especially the vehicles that have citations. So at least once every 6 months, there is a roadside inspection where they're testing, let's say they pick on brakes. And, that's how you can get citations, or during an inspection on the side of the road. So now, if I've got that letter in the mail that says I'm about to be audited, and these are the trucks that they want to see the maintenance record, how much time is it going to take to pull all that stuff together? See, a maintenance application would help you do that more efficiently and effective. And again, you would know what the total cost of repairs are per vehicle and the total cost of the truck that includes the repairs. Again, this is great information to know for financial reasons. So in my Geotab up under vehicles, if you haven't been there recently or seen some of the latest things on our upgrades, they've really got some sweet things in here. So this is on the vehicle page, of course, where you can see the odometer, where you can see the current engine hours, but I love the asset usages right there. Now this is showing for the previous 7 days, and of course you can have a report to see what kind of usage you have. Geotab, we actually have a report that says, hey, here's your usage report. Here are your top 10 vehicles that get the most usage, and here are your bottom 10. So this gives the fleet the opportunity to either reallocate the vehicles that's not being used as much, or decide to downsize their fleet, saving money on maybe the payment of the vehicle, or the maintenance on the vehicle, the insurance on the vehicle. Another great thing that I don't think many of our customers leverage as much as they could, and that's the miles per gallon report, the fuel economy. So at the end of the year, honestly, if I was a fleet manager, I'd run a report to see all what my miles per gallon is for trucks. Now, a heavy duty truck ranges anywhere from 6 to 8 miles per gallon. Not very much, right? And I complain about mine. So I want to see which one of my trucks are really getting 8 and which ones are getting 6. Because those bottom ones, I really need to evaluate what's going on. One, is it driver behavior? Is it that driver trying to go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, it's just burning up fuel? Or is there something wrong with that truck? Or maybe that specific OEM year, make, model just stinks and get crappy miles per gallon. Well, guess what? That'd be one of the first trucks I'm kind of trading in there to make sure I'm using the most fuel efficiency. Also, we have a great marketplace partner called Vnomics that can actually help fleets with fuel economy and be able to teach drivers how they can get better miles per gallon. You have to talk to me later about that, but that's something to investigate. And also within the vehicle here, there's a new tab called Health. I love it because it tells you what faults you're actually getting. So I'll be honest with you, this is my personal vehicle right here, and guess what? Vehicle battery has low voltage. Unfortunately, I didn't have a report to notify me, but guess when I found out that my battery has low voltage? When I got off a plane and went to my car in the airport parking lot and it didn't crank up. That's how I learned that my battery had low voltage. Would have been great if I'd known that before I ever got off the plane, if I'd gotten the report to notify me of that. So this is just a great example of making sure you're leveraging this data to be proactive instead of reactive. And then you can also see what maintenance. Do I have maintenance coming up? Is it overdue? What's my history in the last 30 days on my vehicle? And of course, any DVIR inspections, whether there's a defect or not. And of course, I'm sure most of you are familiar with this report that shows what your odometer is in all your vehicles and the engine hours. Now, the vehicle maintenance reminders, we have greatly improved this. So if you've not looked at it recently, you need to go check it out. So if you go up under engine and maintenance and reminders, you can set this up again by time, by engine hours, by odometer. And you can have unlimited number of different things, okay? And then, of course, for the inspections, the asset inspection, you can see the defects. And again, this can be in a report. All of this can be integrated into your maintenance application. And then also within My Geotab, you now can maintain some maintenance costs, okay? And this could either be in whatever, it could be in US, it could be in Canadian, it could be, and there's a ton of them, of options you can choose from there. but you can choose the asset. And actually, once you choose that asset, it automatically populates with that odometer reading and the engine hours reading. And then you can select which maintenance type it was, and you can put in the cost, and you can have it broken out by parts, by labor, and you can also add additional documents to reference that specific maintenance act, again, by the Geotab drag and drop in the dotted line rectangle there. Okay. So engine faults. Now, sometimes people get scared of these engine faults because they go, oh, there's just so many of them. Well, you can determine which ones that you really want to be notified on. You can collect all the faults, but only be alerted on very specific codes. I mean, I met a customer not too long ago where he felt like he was drowning in fault codes, and he says, I don't care about all of this. I only care about these 25. Okay, set the rule up, set the report up, and he only got the ones he really cared about. But it's important because the ones that they really want to know about is anything that's going to shut that vehicle down. They also want to be able to monitor warranty items or anything that could give that driver a citation, like a headlight out, believe it or not. The driver can get a violation for having a headlight out. So they may not care if the windshield wipers don't work, but they're going to care if the headlight is out. So that's something they'd want to manage. And of course, the engine fault codes. You guys have seen these up under faults, up under engine and maintenance. And of course, if I was able to click here, where the vehicle battery has low voltage and it said 4 times, it'd tell me every date time of when that actually happened. And then of course, you can set up this report, just like I said. You can determine which faults that you really want to be notified, and you can choose which ones. Could be 1, could be 25, it could be 100, totally up to you. And you can have this report, you could put it on the dashboard or an automatic email, just like all the standard reports here at Geotab. I definitely want to talk to you about a really cool thing that, really came out this year, and that's about the electrical system rating. It measures the health of the vehicle's electrical system on a scale of 0 to 100. I love the chart over here. Of course, green is good, and then you have fair, and then you got caution, and then you got poor. Poor really means you're rolling the dice. So at caution is when the vehicle should be brought in for the maintenance, and the poor is when something is about to fail and you are just rolling the dice that day. So we use the data analytics and machine learning to develop this health score for the electric system. It's on a scale of 1 to 100, with 1 being unhealthy, okay? In 2018, this is an example of a large fleet where they replaced 799 batteries. In 2019, they only replaced 590, which is actually a pretty good savings of parts cost, of labor cost, of the total cost. So not even counting what we consider the soft cost, where no one was broken down on the side of the road, they didn't get a tow, and all those other things we talked about earlier of being broken down, of what that would cost. So this is a big savings here by utilizing this. So how this work is, and I've told this before, I can barely put gas in my car, so I don't understand all the thing about the cranking voltage and everything else, but it does decrease over time. And so we can actually define, based upon all of these things, of how the voltage level, where the battery is likely to fail. And that's how you go from good to fair to get it into maintenance to roll the dice. So this is really how it works on the scale. The Go device, of course, acquires the VIN. And at Geotab, we have the decoder ring in order to be able to decode the VIN by knowing the make, the model, the engine, the fuel types, and then we group them based upon that information. And we kind of rank them amongst all the other engine in that group, okay? And then this ESR score is produced. And so you kind of know where you are. And this is actually updated daily if you get that report. And this is the report. It's very easy to do. Just search for the electrical system rating in engine measurements, and you download just the standard Excel report. And then from there, on the value, you just want to sort them. And anything less than 15 should be scheduled for maintenance. You can always stay on top of it and be proactive. So some of our maintenance partners out there in the marketplace, we do have quite a few of them out there. I highly encourage you to do your homework. They all have their own sweet spot. They have their own focus. Some of them are more into management than there are maintenance. And then there's some OEM maintenance things. I'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes. But if you ever go, Robin, I cannot investigate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a dozen different partners. It's just too much. No problem. We actually have a business development manager on the marketplace team who's happy to walk you through the differences between these partners to help you make the best choice for the customer. You've heard me say this before. I highly recommend you do discovery with your customer, determine the pain point, exactly what they're looking for, what are their goals, to be able to propose the right solution. Not necessarily the partner that this is the one I use all the time. You know, we've got to make sure we're proposing the right solution to solve the customer's problems. So some of the maintenance options, of course, is fleet management. That's managing like the parts that I talked about and the cost of it and the downtime report and where the maintenance is from the DVIR or fault codes and those types of things. And then predictive maintenance is to increase the vehicle uptime by predicting what we think is going to happen in the future. And then we also have the OEM enhanced maintenance, which some of those are absolutely free. So why are we not using more of them? So the OEM maintenance from Cummins, from Allison, from Eaton, you know, if this is a good fit for your customer, if they have Cummins engines, if they have Allison transmissions, if they have Eaton, these applications, these add-ins are free. Don't turn down free. Get out there and be that consultant with your customer and get it installed in their database to give them additional data so they can make better business decisions. And then we have predictive, which is uptake and pit stop, and then the fleet maintenance and management are the others there. So in summary, you know, I can't tell you enough, maintenance is such a critical part to the fleet. It costs them a lot of money. It's definitely in the top 3 or 4 where the cost of the truck, the labor, maintenance, and fuel, those are the top costs in a fleet. And they need to be leveraging this data. We provide you with a ton of data. Make sure that you're leveraging it correctly. So Sue, that was short and sweet. Any questions?
I love it. Yes, there are a couple of questions. I'm going to have to start calling these Robin Talks, like TED Talks, but they're Robin Talks. This was really, really good. One of the questions is there a list of engine faults that will shut down the vehicle, or at least the top 10 that we could keep track of?
That's an excellent question. The problem is because every OEM, every year, make, and model, that list is going to be a little bit different. But I feel very confident that each of the OEMs could provide you that specific list, or a mechanic. Even if you don't have a mechanic on staff, reach out to the third party that you're using. I promise you, he's going to know the major faults. And if he don't, you might need to be searching for a new mechanic.
That's a good point. Also, you mentioned contacting someone within the marketplace for the maintenance pieces. Can you provide the contact information for that person or persons?
I'll absolutely throw his name out and let him yell at me afterwards. Graham Jackson.
Okay. Oh, one other question did sneak in here, Robin. Isn't
Okay.
on-command connection free as well?
I believe it is, but I'm not 100% because I thought they had changed something, but I'm not 100%.
Okay, well, we can track that down and follow up. I can follow up in the email to the person that asked the question. So thank you, everybody, again. And so until next time, I'm Sue Miller, and on behalf of myself and everyone here at Geotab, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you all next time. Same Geotab time, same Geotab channel.